Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Tech Talks. Today, we're going to be answering a series of questions which you, our listeners, have submitted to us prior to this event. So we're really excited. I'm Esther. I'm with RCS Professional Services. We are a managed service IT company servicing other small businesses with all their tech and cybersecurity related needs in New York, tri-state area, and Atlanta Metro. Without further ado, I'm excited to present today's presenters. As I said, my name is Esther. I'm the operations manager here at RCS. And first up, we have Tim Heffernan. Tim is our wonderful director of technical operations. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today. Super pumped to have you. And I know you're super busy running the whole of RCS, but we're thrilled that you took some time to be with us today.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. And next up, we have our CIO, Norman, who you may have met on another webinar with RCS. And Norm is also our cybersecurity solutions architect and also comes with years of IT experience, I think over 20 at last check. And both Tim and Norman have been with us a long time. And without further ado, we present Norman.
Ta-da!
Hey, Norman.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we're ready to jump right in with our first question. This was submitted by Barry F. What does it mean to be encrypted?
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump on in on this one. Encrypted. So there's a number of bits of encryption. There is things like hard drive encryption. So what's hard drive encryption? Hard drive encryption is your hard drive is what's something they change the contents of the hard drive so that if someone were to pull the hard drive out of your computer and connect to another computer, they couldn't read it. It's encrypted so that if anyone looks at it, it just looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. But if you log into your computer, the computer unencrypts it and you can see exactly what's on there. So that's one example of encryption. You see encryption, you actually see encryption all the time on the internet. Anytime you go to a website, even Google, if you look at the web address in the bar, it's HTTPS, that's secure, and that means that your traffic is encrypted between you and Google. So what that means is I put in the request to my browser to go to Google, my computer changes that request into something that's not readable by anyone else as it transmits through the internet, and when it gets to Google, they decrypt it. Great, so now my communications over the internet are encrypted. If we're talking in terms of cloud file storage, like Dropbox and OneDrive and Box and all those guys, what those guys do is a number of different encryption. They encrypt at rest, which means when the files are sitting on their servers, they're encrypted. So just in case some crazy way they finally get hacked, the hackers will get just encrypted files and they won't be able to read any of it. They're encrypted in motion also. So as the files are going from Dropbox to your computer or from OneDrive to your computer, they're encrypted along the way. So anybody who's listening in on that traffic along the way on the internet also can't read it because it's encrypted. What does it take to decrypt something? Well, most encryption now is, I think, at 256 bits. And what that means is it would take a computer like, I don't know, hundreds of years to decrypt what you sent over, what's been encrypted. Tim, anything, did I miss anything on encryption?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
You can encrypt email also.
Right, yeah.
So that's the same concept. Your email gets encrypted, so changed into something that's not readable by anyone else but you and the recipient. Recipient gets it, they can, through their, through the computer, have it unencrypted and be able to read it. Okay, I think I got it all.
Thanks, Norman.
You got it.
Next up. Our next question.
Love chocolate milk.
Submitted by Robert C. I currently have Office 365 Business and use Calendly for potential clients to book time to talk and Zoom for one-to-one meetings. I know Teams and Bookings are included in my Office 365 subscription. What is Bookings? And in your opinion, do Teams and Bookings offer good alternatives to Calendly and Zoom? Good question.
I'm gonna jump in on this one too. Look at me taking over the screen time right now. Yeah, so this Office 365, Microsoft has built this awesome ecosystem that they are just constantly improving. They are really doing some amazing, just incremental improvement over the years to make their ecosystem really incredible. We've got Bookings, and do Teams and Bookings offer good alternatives, Calendly and Zoom. Teams, okay, so Teams has just grown into this just great collaboration and communication tool. So you can chat on there one-to-one, one-to-a-few. You can have meetings on there. So those are video meetings or just audio meetings. You can whiteboard in those meetings. There's chats in those meetings. There's teams and channels, so you can keep everything that you're doing. Like for this webinar, we have a webinar team, and in that we have a channel called Ask the Tech, and in there we discuss everything that goes into making this webinar, including all the files. So everything is all in that one space where you need to find it. So as far as using Teams as a good alternative to Zoom, yeah, it's awesome. We do all of our meetings and calling on on Teams. In fact, we started off just using Teams as the calling and the calling over Teams, so Teams to Teams. And now we've actually implemented it as our phone system also. So when I call someone's actual phone number, I'm actually using Teams, and I use it on my computer, on my phone, on my iPad, on all kinds, on an actual physical phone. I use it on all those things. So then the next bit is, so you know that you can use Teams for your communication, for your presentations, for your meetings, all of that. But the next bit is bookings. Can I use bookings so that people can set up book time on a calendar for me? And the answer is yes. Bookings is great. So you can make a booking calendar for the company, for individuals. You can make it so that people can book various types of time. It could be 15 minutes, it can be 30 minutes, it can be a video call, it can be an audio call. You can set a bunch of different options in there of what you want people to be able to book on your calendar. And it's great. I've used it, and yeah, you can send out a link to people. They click on the link, just like with a calendar. They click on the link, and it says, okay, here, book time on this person's calendar. You go and you choose a time, and obviously it only shows the times that you are available. And you choose the time, and you choose what sort of type of meeting you're booking, and boom, it shows up on your calendar. They get yes, they get an invitation, so it shows up on their calendar also, and it's all tied together, which is great. So that meeting, then you see your calendar in Teams. It's the calendar in Teams, the same one in Outlook. It's all the same thing. So they book time on your calendar. It shows up on your calendar in Outlook and in Teams, which is the same calendar. And then when it comes time, you just go to Teams and you click on join that meeting, and great, you're both on. So yes, Teams bookings can offer a great alternative to Calendly and Zoom.
Awesome, thanks, Norman. I think we actually have that training on the Teams phone system posted to our YouTube channel as well. So if anyone wants to check it out. Tim, you have anything to add to that about 365 or bookings? Or...
No, not Norman's the resident expert on bookings and all that stuff.
Awesome. And Norman, have any of our other small business clients been moving to the Teams phone system while you touched on the Microsoft phone system? Is that?
Oh, yeah, actually, we have let's see, they're around 100 people, that client, and they are moving to the Teams phone system. It's interesting because with those guys, like, I thought an actual physical phone, hello, was going to be the important thing for them. But because they were all out of the office, they were like, oh, we don't need any physical phones right now. I know I can do it. And I actually showed him the phone working. It's great. It's a beautiful screen. You can take calls and meetings on there. But for them, it was just the ability to use Teams on their any device that they needed to make it the whole thing that made it all work for them, because they got users all over the place right now. So Teams, and they didn't have to buy them phones because, well, it works on your iPhone, Android, it works on your computer. So they were able to use the Teams phone system wherever everybody was with very little setup.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks. I personally love it too. The app is great. All right, let's see what we got next. Next question submitted by John L. What do you recommend for security? So that should be for IoT on mobile devices. We have some protective measures in place, but are still getting impersonated a lot. $1 million question.
I'm staying quiet because I jumped in the first two. I don't want to railroad this right over Tim. I know he's got a lot to say. But security, it happens to be in my
Right. This seems to be a lot of Norman questions.
But you're the one who's actually doing a whole bunch of the Azure AD security implementations.
Yeah, so you have mobile device management, MDM, and Intune that can be deployed on devices that will lock it down. There's, again, features within Azure that allow you to set parameters and policies for sign-in attempts and login. So it tracks if your email or your stuff's being logged in a different side of the country, and you're typically in New York and in California, somebody's logging in, it can block those. And there's certain behaviors you can set whether they block or challenge them with MFA, multi-factor authentication, or just simply block them and notify an administrator. That's really, MDM is I guess the go-to choice for anything to lock down mobile devices, computers, and cell phones.
Tim, sorry, for those of us who don't have the level of geniosity that you and Norman do, can you give us a little 2-second explanation about MDM and MFA for those who might not know?
Certainly. So MDM stands for Mobile Device Management. It's a service that is provided by a cloud company, so like Microsoft Azure. And what it does is access to certain applications goes through that for authentication and authorization. So if you go to open up your email on your phone, your Gmail, you're typically using your Gmail app or using a native mail app within your phone, it just opens up no problem because it just reaches out to Google. Hey, is this person okay? No problem. Here's the email. But when you implement an MDM solution or mobile device management solution, your corporate email is locked down where if you're accessing your email from not a known device, so if you're at your Aunt Susie's house for the weekend and you want to go to your email, it will block that. And it can be somewhat of annoying when you're on vacation, but when somebody in Morocco tries to access your account and starts impersonating you and stealing thousands of dollars, it's really great to have for MDM.
And Norman, I know you're the cybersecurity genius here. I know you've been giving a lot of webinars, again, up on our channel about the depth and breadth of the security measures that we can help people implement or that they can implement on their own. Do you have anything to add to that, or any other maybe security measures people should be thinking about?
Yeah, actually, so as far as he touched on MFA, which is the idea of having a second level of security. When you sign into something, you sign in, you go username, password, and then you have to click approve on your phone. That's MFA. But a sister technology with that is SSO, which is single sign-on. What SSO does is it allows you to use one credential for all the things you're signing on. So here at RCS, when we log on to all of our systems, all of those systems, they forward those logins to Microsoft Azure AD because that's what we use for our identity management. So when I say that, I mean Azure AD knows who all of us are, and when I go to say log into, I don't know, let's say Dropbox, which we actually use OneDrive, but I'm trying to use something outside of the Microsoft ecosystem. When we log into Dropbox, I go to the Dropbox webpage and try to log in, and what comes up is the Microsoft Azure AD login. Why is this important? Because what you get to do with SSO is apply Microsoft security to whatever product you're logging into. So for example, our ticketing system, the system that we use to keep track of all the issues that are coming in from our clients. The guys that make that ticketing system, what their focus is on making a ticketing system, something that holds on to all of those tickets, and I can update them, and it can send updates out to clients and all that. Great, that's what they're doing. You know what they're not doing? They're not doing login security. Yeah, they're doing it a bit. They've got the username, the password. They've got MFA on top of that if you want. But if you want the full package of security, and at this point you can need that full package, like Tim was talking about, things like, oh, I saw a login from New York, and then 5 minutes later I saw a login from London. That's impossible. But with the ticketing system, they're not looking at that sort of data, where those logins came from. They just saw a login and they let it go. Whereas if I now use SSO to forward that login to Microsoft, now I'm using Microsoft's security, because that's what they built this product, Azure AD, for. They're using Microsoft security to secure my logins to that ticketing system, and for all our other systems. So SSO is awesome, and a lot of people miss it. They think, oh yeah, great, it's just easy. Well, by the way, yes, it makes all your logins easier because you're using one login for everything. You don't have to remember 15 different things. But at the same time, it's also applying an identity provider, in our case, Azure AD, Microsoft Azure AD, their security to whatever you're logging into. Oh, that's it. Sorry, I'm done.
Cool. Thank you. All right, I want to move us right along. Let's see what our next question is for the sake of time. I'm remoting into my computer via VPN. Is there a better way to do this? Is this secure? Submitted by Linda M.
So I'll weigh on this one. With VPN, there are multiple ways you can remotely control another machine, whether it be through TeamViewer or I think there's a Google application, a Google Desktop that you can use. The problem with these is a lot of these aren't encrypted. The best way to get into your network and access your machine is through a encrypted connection we talked about earlier. And the VPN is exactly that. It encrypts the connection between your machine and the network equipment in the office. It allows you to browse your files, folders, shares, sometimes even print. Just having that connection between your machine and the next. So VPN, virtual private network, is what it stands for. I think it's really the best way. It's the most secure way to do it. There are other avenues that you can go through, but they're not going to be very secure, in my opinion.
Guess who did a webinar on this? Yeah, that's right, this guy.
That's awesome. Was that
on our YouTube channel? But yeah, I did a webinar on this whole question of the positives and negatives of each way of logging in. There happens to be a negative to VPN. The one I could think of right off the bat is what you're doing with your computer is you're actually taking your computer at home and in the digital way, essentially putting your computer on the office network. What that means is if there's a virus on your computer, you could theoretically transmit that to the office networks. That's the kind of downer with VPN. On the other hand, VPN, very secure. Yeah, it's very secure.
Norman, that was in your remote work webinar, right? On how to work.
What was that?
That was your remote work webinar, right? How to work most efficiently.
Exactly.
Awesome, love it. All right, let's keep going then. Ooh, big question. How can I boost my Wi-Fi speeds while working from home?
So this can be achieved by a number of different things. I would say the first thing that most people don't do is when you get internet service from your cable company, you just get whatever equipment they give you, and most of the time it works just fine. If you have a larger home, or if your home is built with, let's say, steel studs in the walls or anything that can disrupt that signal, the first thing you should do is go purchase a separate router. That could be a little more powerful than the one that your internet service provider has given you. Also, there's other systems like there's mesh routers out there that basically overlap the connections with one another to provide you a broader range. You know, if in an internet signal from this side of the house going to here, you just put an AP or access point in the middle that would just bridge that connection to the other side of the house. There's also things called power line adapters that aren't really heard of very much unless you really know about the IT stuff. Essentially, dumbed down version, it takes your internet signal via an Ethernet cable from your modem and router and transmits the signal through your Romex or your power cables in your home to another port. So you have two little nodes, one plugs into the modem, plugs into the wall, the other node goes into your office or wherever that remote location is in your home, plug it into the wall, Ethernet cable from that to your machine. There's other things that like your internet service provider may offer, very similar to like the mesh router system. They sell these little access points that plug into the wall that take the signal from your modem or router and then amplify it and send it over to the other part of the house. I think that's all of them. Norman, can you think of anything else?
No, that's great. Like what a lot of people don't realize when they're at home is sometimes they just don't have a good connection to the router. They're connected, so they have some connection, but they don't have a good connection, so they're just not getting all the speed from the router to their computer. So yeah, all those things you mentioned are great for improving Wi-Fi speeds at home.
There's a lot of things to keep in mind as well that most people don't think of. Is you gotta think this is all radio signals going through the air, and microwaves and your DVD players and your Bluetooths and all the stuff that can all somewhat disrupt that signal. So if you're in a condensed building, let's say an apartment building, and you have issues with your Wi-Fi signal, this takes a little step further and with your IT knowledge, but you can also change the channel at which your signal is being broadcasted on. Most default routers, they'll have the same channel that they broadcast on. You can change that by 2 or 3 channels, and you might get the same better signal, not having to change anything, just changing those channels, not moving anything or purchasing anything else. I think the best thing is to get your IT guy involved and have him take a peek and see what's going on with it.
I'm sitting here taking notes. With the amount of people working from home, bandwidth is a thing. So that's expensive real estate. Cool, thanks guys. So I think we're hitting the end. Let's see, we got one more question before we hit the 30-minute deadline. What privacy guidelines do you recommend we have in place to ensure that our employees are not falling for any phishing emails?
So I think obviously Norman's going to touch on this quite a bit because this has to do with security, but I think the biggest thing with phishing emails is training your people to know what to look for and what to expect, and not necessarily take every email that comes in from the big boss as that's the big boss and go ahead and start giving out credit card numbers. Just, training on how to handle certain things. Norman, I'll let you take it from here.
I love that you're mentioning training just before you jump in, Norman, because I feel like, coming from a tech person, people always want to throw solutions and products and services sometimes at something when sometimes a big piece of it is just the people behind it. So it's a really good point. Yeah, Norman, go for it.
So as far as training goes, sorry, because I'm going to throw a piece of technology at you. There is technology to train your employees about this. We've actually done webinars about this. So we've got a webinar, a couple of them, where I've gone through what to look for in phishing emails. But there's also sort of an automatic way to do this. There are services that will send out fake phishing emails to people in the company. And if someone clicks on the email, which they shouldn't do, if they click on the email, they get brought to a page that says, oh, you clicked on that phishing email, it was fake, but you should have, looked for this. And then so it realizes that it tells them that they made a mistake by clicking on that phishing email, and then trains them on what to look for in the future. And these things are great. One of the ones we use is Barracuda has it. There's Novi4. There's a whole bunch of different companies that do this. Novi4 is I think the first one in here in that realm. But and yeah, they're great. Like I remember I remember my girlfriend coming home one day saying, oh, I clicked on this phishing email and it wasn't a phishing email, and now I got to go through some training. Hold on, be right back with you. I got to go through this training. So yeah, it works. Let me tell you, she hasn't made that mistake again.
Yeah, actually, after watching your webinar and what to look for, I always checking the URLs now on the links and seeing where it's taking me before I click. So that's great, and we'll include the links to those in the bottom of this. So everyone wants to check it out, you can definitely do so, or reach out to us at info@rcsprofessional.com, and we'll be happy to send it your way. So
Nice.
I think that pretty much wraps us up here, unless either of you had anything, any last minute thoughts or things you wanted to add.
No, I think we've actually touched a lot on security this time around. People seem to have a lot of security questions at the moment. Not surprising because everyone's working from home and who knows what's going on here or there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that wraps up our first episode of Tech Talks, gets us on a great launch. Thank you all so much for submitting your questions. And just to wrap up, we'll be actually looking out for more questions from you over the next bit of time, and we're going to be posting these episodes regularly. So stay tuned for more, check back, and we look forward to answering all of your tech questions at our next Tech Talks. Thanks so much for your time, Norman and Tim, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.